Great to be back
on this beautiful spring day.
It is a beautiful
Happy Mother's Day,
everybody.
To all you mothers out there, except for one mother. That mother. I wish he would
mother's
just,
a mother.
He would just go away. Yeah.
Lots of mothers, and mothers can become in all forms: mentors, godmothers, aunts, friends.
A gay neighbor.
You
know, there we are.
Lots of mothers.
Lots of mothers out there. They're mothers to be. I'm sending love out to my Schwiegernichte.
Oh, nice.
Who is expecting her first.
Very nice.
There we are. My niece. I'm sending love to her. There we are. My sister, who ironically is also a father. There we are. There we are. These are just crazy times. And it was like, it was another crazy week here that's going on here. Christy Nome got a good old-fashioned spanking from Senator Chris Murphy. Did you see any of that?
No.
Girl, it was not. Mwah, chef's kiss.
Good.
We need more Chris Murphys over there. Jasmine Crockett trolled Marjorie Taylor Greene with a little game of Trump or trans, and when the world got a new pope from Chicago.
I heard.
The Pope.
Amazing.
Yep. Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago Pope. Thursdays
Coming to
on NBC.
TV near you.
There we are. We've got a great show for you today. Titanic, the musical at Marriott Theater, is getting rave reviews in a production that tackles issues of class, immigration, and hubris. Actor Mark David Kaplan joins us. I love him. I just adore him. Good man.
I'm looking forward to meeting him.
He's been on the show before. We've had. I know there's so many. It's 12 years.
12 years.
It's hard to remember everything. I totally get it.
Being an actor, you probably have had.
I worked with him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you saw him. He was in We Three Elizas.
Yes.
Theater. He was
of course.
the middle one.
You guys did a great
job. Or the
job
older
on
one.
That.
Yeah, there we go.
That was fantastic.
He's wonderful. Yes. And speaking of fantastic, Chicago Shakespeare Theatre, they are knocking it out of the park
really
this
are.
season. And the 2025-26 season is set to be equally amazing. It's going to be featuring a new play about Billie Jean King.
Wow, I want to hear all about that.
That's coming this summer.
Yeah. Cool.
I know. And the U.S. premiere of Brokeback Mountain, which sounds like it's a play with music. There's so much stuff that's going on there. We're going to be chatting with artistic director Ed Hall later on in the show. I'm super excited about that because I've always wondered when people think, Shakespeare.
Right.
And Chicago Shakespeare doesn't do all Shakespeare.
No,
so I'm just
don't.
what's the decision? How do they go about, curating this season and making sure that it feeds their mission and appeals? I'm just fascinated by that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And more lately, it seems, the last few years, just such a variety from Six that
I know. Well, Ed Hall directed Sunny Afternoon,
which I love.
Which you love, so you can goof all over him. There we are. And of course, we would love to hear from you, so give us a call at 773-763-9278. The number again is 773-763-9278. Of course, you can find us on Facebook, where we're coming at you live. Just head on over to Out Chicago Radio, and while you're there, give us a click and a like and a share and all that jazz. But if that doesn't float your boat, you can always tune in on WCPT AM 820 by asking your smart speaker and all that good stuff. And you make sure that you follow WCPT and our sister network, Heartland Signal, on all of the socials. Mm-hmm. Did you get your NOLA fix?
I did. I am so happy I
scratched?
went. Oh, yeah, because when I'm there, normally I go for almost 2 weeks, 13 days.
Yeah.
And there are nights when I say, hey, I got 2 weeks here. I'm going to take it easy. But when you're there for 5 nights,
girl,
there is no rest for the wicked. There is out, go. But the last night we were in by midnight, so that was
okay.
Usually it was by 3 or 4 in the morning.
Of course, yes.
But you know what?
How early do you start your days then?
So I get up between 9 and 10 because
you're out until 3 or 4.
Yeah.
That's still, oof.
And then we, I shower, get my backpack. I kind of pack it the night before for the fest, and try to get to the fest as close. The fest starts around noon, 11ish. Try to get there as close to noon as I can.
All right.
And I did pretty good job of doing that since I was only there for...
I just couldn't.
And then
I would be
till
dragging.
Then we're there till 7, and then we, leave at 7, get on the bus. By the time you get home, it's almost 8 o'clock. Recharge your phone, recharge your batteries for, 20 minutes, an hour maybe. And then it's time to go on to the next thing. Shows, dinner.
I know, it's incredible.
Yeah, and it was great. I was by myself I had roommates. I stayed with my friend Marianne, who I'll get to in a little bit later. I want to talk about her for a moment. But I stayed with my friend Marianne the first 3 nights, and then I moved over to my friend Alan's. And Marianne was, we kind of went our separate ways. It's hard to stick together. There's 14 stages.
Yeah. It's huge.
And usually I'm with Kathy or my friend Janet. We stick pretty close together. But I was by myself a lot, which... I did not mind at all because I'm constantly running into people I know, but the sense of community that was there this year, Scott, and I think that as we've talked about finding our joy, one of the reasons I decided I really needed to go to Jazz Fest, I wasn't going to go because our dog is ill, but she's doing great, and I didn't want to think, well, the next time I can travel is when she's gone,
Right.
And the other people that are there, they're very like-minded. They travel. They have to have education. They have to have a certain amount of income to get there. Like-minded, liberal people, and just the conversations that you get into when you're by yourself. I realized, you meet more people. And I sat next to one man at a picnic table. You grab your food at the booths and you sit there and. We just started talking, and another woman sitting across the line. We ended up like having an emotional discussion where we were like touching each other's hands. By the end, he revealed he had had cancer, and she was listening intently. And she says to him, "You had cancer?" And he explained, "Yeah, it's fine now. It was good." And I knew. I said, do you have an experience with cancer too?" She said, "Yeah, I was diagnosed. I'm having a lumpectomy next week."
Wow.
African-American woman and her partner, her husband, her boyfriend, old, they were a little older. And, we talked openly and beautifully, and we were just like hugging at the end, just sitting down at a picnic table.
Love it.
And then there were talks about what's going on in the world. I mean, it always came back to that. We talked about the music, and we talked about how much we need this right now. And the sense of community, the sense of people that are just there for the same reason, to feel the joy while you can, enjoy the moments you can, stick together, try to keep the faith. It was empowering in many ways.
Do you feel that was, because I know, like, one of the things that keeps you going back, what was this, 28 years?
36.
36, sorry, yes. I didn't mean to short shrift
okay.
you there. There you go.
Kept
36.
my record intact.
I know, there we are. But, one of the things that draws you back, aside from the music, is that sense of community.
Yes.
Do you feel that this year that was even stronger?
I do.
And
I don't know if
or was it because of the short time when you were there?
I don't know if it's because I was alone. I met people, but everywhere you went, people were having, because they go in groups, people go with big friends.
Yeah.
They were talking about the world. They were talking about who. They were talking about what we have to do and where we're going. And, you'd get involved in the convos. You're sitting on a blanket waiting for the next band to start, and you can't help but chime in,
Yeah, of course.
And then you have some discourse, and maybe you don't all agree, but in the end you do. You all agree that we're in this together. We're going to fight it. It's not unacceptable. So I do feel this year, I felt a vibe of people. Things are happening in the world. People are not superficial. They want to be real with other people. They want to have real conversations and share real feelings. And I found some of the conversations I had just so, they were as fulfilling as some of the music, and then the artists. Last year it was an election year during Jazz Fest, and I did not hear enough people and artists. I go to a lot of concerts. There's some years when Barack ran, and even when Biden ran against Trump, where people were like from the stage. Last year during the election year, I didn't hear much of it. But of course now, we're hearing a lot
also
of it.
Last year during that time, we had a different candidate.
Right.
Right, and it was a lot more complicated because people were mad at President Biden for wanting to run again.
The Palestine, issues and everything. But this year, Lenny Kravitz, he went into Let Love Rule. Before he did that song, he went into a whole thing about where we're at as a country and why this is so important. And there's one thing we need to do, and that's Let Love Rule. And he did a 15-minute version of everybody singing.
Of course he did.
And it was a highlight. I just caught the last half hour of the show.
I just caught the last half hour of that song.
Really, 15 minutes of it was. And then he changed the word to let continue to let love. I don't know, let democracy rule, whatever he was saying. But it was great, and I just feel blessed that I was able to go. Kathy held down the fort, and the weather was spectacular, and I got to play.
Of course.
I played with Rockin' Doopsie Jr., at a
Love
I played at
Rocketgypsy.
I played at a medical. I know you're a big fan. I played at a medical convention with him.
Okay.
At a hall, at a famous hall down there, Generations Hall. He ran into me on the street and said, "How long are you in town?" Because he played the weekend before.
Right.
And he asked me to come, and I went, and I went with my friend Alan, and the people. These medical people, they work hard, they have intense jobs, but man, when they party, they let their hair
Were
down.
they in the medical profession, or were they like the pharmaceutical people?
They
or
were in the
whatever?
medical profession,
Okay.
most of them.
Okay.
Different aspects, everything from nurse practitioners to doctors to people that are in the tech portion of it.
Right.
But they were, I always have found this since I've been playing, Scott, but a lot of women in the audience, and they are so empowered when they see me play because they just don't see women up there jamming with the guys.
Yeah.
And at one point, I did something I don't think I've ever done in all my years of sitting in at the front of the stage were all these women going crazy.
Yeah.
And I went to the end of the stage and I literally dropped to my knees and played at the. I played.
Come on,
I
play
played
at
to
'em.
them.
All righty.
It was just something I was feeling. you
Yeah,
know?
go with it.
And I was supposed to go somewhere else after, but the people were so kind and wanted to talk and wanted to hug and take pictures, and it was just. What else can you ask for?
I know, you
in 5
gotta love
days?
that. You
Yeah.
gotta love that. Sounds like it was a very full.
Yes. And then I landed Wednesday, and Kathy picked me up at Midway, and we drove directly to Park Ridge for a showing from the airport.
Okay, there we are.
That's the
business must go
boom,
on.
Party
there we
over.
are.
Let's go.
There we are.
So anyway, So I had I feel very blessed to have been there, and very wonderful people, new friends and old friends.
Do you always have your harps on you? Harps,
Yes.
I have learned over the years, is the correct term for a harmonica.
Yes.
So how do you get those through security? That's the part that I'm always like.
I usually put them in my suitcase because.
No, I mean like getting into the event. Like, do you bring them to the big part?
Yeah.
So
They
yeah.
don't care.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they go
Don't
through.
care.
They go through the.
The
They look
things,
at my
the
bag.
scan, look at your bag.
Actually, I go through the metal detector and they open the bag.
Right,
and
okay.
The first day I was there, actually, a woman pulled out my harmonicas. First time that's happened in a long time at the fest, and I think she was being trained, and she's looking at him. She was African American guy, woman, and the guy, the older African American dude. Those are harps. Just let her go. Those are harps.
Yeah.
Didn't know what they were, but he knew exactly what they were, and probably a musician. Everybody is down there. So yeah, I don't have any trouble usually bringing.
All right. I was like,
But
oh.
yeah, I do. I didn't bring them one day to the fest, and I thought, I'm not going to play with anybody today. I don't need to drag this. I'm on the bus, and a friend of mine is on there from California that I see once a year, and he's like, "Do you got your harps on you?" Because
like,
I played on the bus.
"No."
My friend Billy Branch says never go anywhere without them, and when I do, I regret it. So,
All right,
yeah.
well, there we go. Have harps will travel.
So thanks for asking. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
How was? I'm sure Tanya did a great job last week.
Oh, always a joy.
Yes.
Big old shout out to Tanya Richard.
She's great.
She's amazing. Again, her book, her memoir. Oh gosh, Black Girl from White Suburb, and then there's a colon. I can't remember the rest of it now. This is going to be coming out later this year, so I'm very excited about that. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
We missed you, of course, but we knew that you had to,
Yes,
go and do your thing.
Thank you.
Go
It's
and do
great.
your
Thank
thing.
you for the opportunity.
Yeah, see, I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could run on that little sleep. I am, but I guess it's...
And 20-some thousand steps a day.
Well, yeah. Well, that I could do.
Yeah. No.
That I can do, no problem. But
I don't drink alcohol, so that helps because people that are drinking during the day they're cashed by about 10 o'clock at
I
night.
don't understand day drinking. I never did. I don't get it. Can't do it.
I have never, even when I was a drinker, the last 15 years or 20, day drinking just did me in.
It's
I couldn't
awful.
do it.
Yeah,
I
no,
think it's
I don't
awful
get it.
too.
I don't get it. I don't
like that feeling around 6 or 7 o'clock.
I know, when you're already like hungover or whatever. Like,
right.
what's happening? Ugh, this is yuck.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Can't do it. I just get too tired.
That's me too.
I'm like, no. I'm just talking about like just in day-to-day life. Like what you were doing, I guess it's different because it is like all fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you're not like working.
It's not work, no.
But like I got the end of my work week and I'm like, I need to go to bed at 9:30.
That's self-care.
That is-
You need to take care of yourself, though.
I know. And I was trying to, it is Mother's Day, so it is a little sad for some people.
I got a little sad driving in, Scott. I was listening to people calling into a radio show talking about their moms, and I was thinking you and I both, it's been about 5 years. 5 years for you, a little over 5 years for me.
Yeah.
It does not matter. I'll never forget my mother a couple of weeks before she passed away, crying, thinking about her mom and tearing up. You never, and she was 93.
Yeah.
You never do not miss your mother, no matter how old you are.
Yeah. So, but to honor her, of course, I've already started tricking out the patio.
I saw.
I'm
beautiful.
putting some stuff out there. And then last night, as I was sitting out kind of admiring my handiwork, a cardinal came along and perched along a limb, which always reminds me of my mom. And she sat there, and well, actually because it was a very bright bird, sat there, looked at everything, and then flew off elsewhere. And it was just... with a
nod of approval.
Yes, it was very, very, very lovely.
Beautiful.
So just kind of, Jerry and I, we had big plans. We were going to go out and do, but we just decided, we became little homebodies yesterday because we went out and we went to the hardware store, and Jerry fixed our screen door, and we bought plants to put things in, and we planted seeds, and we were just kind of putzing around, and we were like, we're just kind of tired. So but we had a lovely night. Oh my gosh.
What?
So I've discovered this thing, the National Theater app. The National Theater out of London, it's the
premier,
the state subsidized theater company that's for the people. They've got, you can get an app for your smart TV or Apple or whatever it is. And they have filmed versions of plays, and they are all amazing right there. And last night, Jerry and I watched the stage adaptation of All About Eve with Gillian Anderson and, oh gosh, that lady who was on Downton Abbey, and then she went on to play Cinderella in the live-action Cinderella. I can't remember her name right now, but she's very, very pretty. But it was directed and adapted by Eva von Hove. Do you remember at the Goodman a couple years ago, The View from the Bridge? That very sparse set, like white thing. So that guy directed All About Eve, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. One of the best screenplays on the planet. We can only pray that we are as pithy and witty and as conniving as these people are. It is so good. It's so good. It's so good. So
it's a free app.
I think it is. Jerry did it. So I was kind of like, where did this come from? Jerry's like, I don't know. There it is. And I'm like, I thought we were watching our things, but okay, cool. But I highly recommend if you are a theater lover.
Yes.
But they've got amazing plays. They've got the Andrew Garfield, The Angels in America. There's a new adaptation of Vanya. I'm naming all the gay stuff with Andrew Scott, the hot priest from Fleabag. You never watched Fleabag, did you? No. Well,
I saw one.
He's a homo gay. But there's some really, really great stuff on there.
Ooh, good to know. Well, there you go, folks.
But, wow, this All About Eve was it was amazing. It was very intense. I loved it. So we ended up making
a little lovely night at home.
We had a lovely night at home where we're just kind of home beautiful, doing little home projects and everything. We only get one day off together now, so
gotta appreciate it.
We did. And I just realized too that before we go to a break, I forgot to tell people that we want to hear from them.
Yeah,
so give us a call, 773-763-9278. The number again, 773-763-9278. Do you have feelings about the Pope? Do you have feelings about? Do you want to give a special Mother's Day shout out?
Are you a mother yourself? Call in.
Give us a call.
I always like to hear from more women.
Yes, always. But we do need to go to a break.
Indeed.
But before we do that, this part about Chicago is brought to you by Team Hochberg. If you are purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Carly, a first-time home buyer, income $65,000 a year, contacted Rocket Mortgage. Oof, bad move. Come on, Carly. Rocket's loan officer locked Carly into a 25-year fixed 6.125% loan, which sounded great until David reviewed her loan documents. Carly didn't realize that Rocket placed her into a 25-year, not a 30-year fixed loan, and charged her over $5,000 for a lower rate. David explained to Carly why paying discount points, which are extra costs to secure a lower rate, wasn't in Carly's financial best interest. So let's review. Rocket Mortgage placed Carly into a loan she didn't want and didn't explain why they charged over $5,000 to secure a lower rate, which is why Team Hochberg, not Rocket Mortgage, will be originating Carly's Mortgage. The next time you need a mortgage, don't waste your time with Rocket Mortgage or other online lenders. Call Team Hochberg at 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 and 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, there's more Out Chicago right here on WCPT Heartland Signal.
If Cage Walls Could Talk with Jody Whittaker.
Captain Paul Watson is a marine wildlife conservation and environmental activist.
And as his head rose out of the sea and his eye was there right before me, so close I could see my own reflection in that eye. That whale understood what we were trying to do because I could see the effort he made to pull himself back. And instead of crashing forward, he began to slide back to the sea as I disappeared beneath the surface, and he died. He could have killed us and chose not to. So I owe my life to that whale.
If Cage Walls Could Talk, Saturdays at 5.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
This is a WCPT Civil Rights Snapshot. As buses arrive in Chicago from the Mexico border, one may wonder what obstacles these families had to face in their travels. Many migrants come to the States knowing very little English, and for this reason, their stories aren't being shared. However, one family shared their story about their journey from Venezuela to the States. Xavier Linares and his family traveled through jungles and deserts to seek a better life in America. Xavier shares his struggles of food insecurity and leaving home and his loved ones behind in Venezuela. Xavier's family traveled 5 days and 4 nights through torrential rain and slept under a tarp when weary. After reaching the border, the family was able to enter an asylum request with U.S. immigration authorities. This is a story of hope, perseverance, and gratitude. Xavier said, "I don't have anything, but I have a lot of strength and desire to move ahead, working and studying." Please stay vigilant about our civil rights. The fight is never over.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
We're comedy duo Pink Pony. Welcome to Out Chicago on WCPT.
And welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ellen Miller, rolling along here. And hey, tomorrow on Choose Views, Richard will be talking to Choose Views regulars Sarah Jones of Politicus USA and Rich Logis of Leaving MAGA. Choose Views weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. Central on WCPT 820 a.m. The Heartland Signal website. Tune in. YouTube and Facebook. Well, hey, white smoke means we got a new pope.
Pope. We do.
Pope. U.S. Cardinal Robert Prevost is now Pope Leo XIV, proving how easy it is to address somebody by a new chosen name. Look how easy that is.
Including a man wearing a dress.
And some Prada slippers. There we go. Very exciting news. He was born in Chicago. He's the first North American pope. And he trolls J.D. Vance on social media. I mean, what's not to love?
What's not to love? He does indeed. So I was in New Orleans staying with my friend Mary Ann, who is a 40-year friend, met in college. She says to me a couple nights ago, you know, one of my friends is in the conclave. And I'm like, really? She goes, yeah, he's a cardinal. I went to grade school with him, Bob. I said, Bob?
What?
I said, your friend Bob is in the... Yeah, we went to Catholic school together, grades 1 through 8. He's we had a small class. There's like 60 of us. So we're watching. I come home from, I was out and I heard the white smoke and I said, I always like the history of it, even though I'm not very religious. So we're watching the white smoke.
Or Catholic.
Or Catholic.
That's the big thing.
And I'm, all of a sudden, I hear an American Pope. I'm here. It's Prevost. And I was like, I text her. I'm like, oh my God, your friend is the new Pope. And she goes, I can't talk right now. And about 2 hours later, I wrote and said, kind of tongue in cheek, the CNN contacted you yet? CNN, ABC, NBC, Inside Edition, Wall Street. She goes, Ellen, it's not just me. It's Peggy and Karen too. 3 good friends of mine. 3 very good friends, not casual acquaintances. Went to school with Bob.
Wow.
From first grade to 8th grade.
Amazing.
I was on cloud 9 for them. I was on cloud 9 that my friend's friend is the new Pope.
That
I mean,
is crazy.
It was crazy.
That is cuckoo bananas. Like, how small of a world.
3 friends.
Well, I went to high school with Dr. Travis Stork.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. He was on The Doctors, that horrible show. Now he's trying to tell you, like, he's trying to tell you about turmeric.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I like
me
turmeric.
too, just like the Pope.
Anyway, I just was on cloud 9 thinking about the fact that, not only is he an American Pope, he's a Chicago Pope, but, when you're at grade school for 1st through 8th, even though they never saw him again after 8th grade,
Oh, yeah, of
because he
course,
went away to the seminary. But, those are your friends you always know. You know their name. You never forget their first and last names. And she considers him a friend. And,
well, there we go.
Yeah, so
and now
I guess I'm
she
2 degrees of
considers
separation.
a
right?
Pope.
Sure, her friend is my 3 friends, grade school friend, classmate is the Pope.
That is cuckoo bananas.
Yeah.
That is
they all
cuckoo
went
bananas.
To St. Mary's. Jane Lynch also went to that school, but she's a couple years behind.
Well, there we go. We go.
She's a couple years younger.
Did you see any of like his brothers?
Yeah, I was glued. Are you kidding? I was. The brothers are regular guys, and he's like a regular person.
Yeah, I think one of them lives in Florida, who was like, we just decided to watch it, and I'm glad I was just still laying down because I would have just fallen right out.
Nobody expected it. Nobody expected it.
I didn't expect. Who would have expected an American Pope, especially these days?
Yes, especially. But maybe it is just what we need. He's the anti-Trump for sure. And I love, like we pointed out, that he wasn't afraid to slap back at good old JD. Yeah, yeah. So, he's lived in Peru. He's lived among people that don't have, and he's carrying on Father Francis's legacy. People think. Hopefully, his thoughts on LGBTQ issues have evolved. Look, we know even Barack Obama, when he started in office, had different views than when he ended up. I've never been more excited for a pope. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, it was funny because it happened. It was Thursday. I was working that day, and so I couldn't really follow everything. But when we were kind of talking like, oh, he's from Chicago, we got the Pope, and I'm like, okay. And one of my coworkers was like, I'm just trying to see like how much damage he's going to do, and blah blah blah. And was kind of scrolling through there, and I thought for a moment like, well, I guess he wasn't in Chicago, but like the Chicago Catholic Archdiocese, they have been amazing. Like if you recall back in, I think it was either late January or early February, it was right after Ding Dong's inauguration, and they were announcing all these like ICE raids that were going to be coming up. Yeah. And the Catholic Church of Chicago, they were like, nope, we are sanctuaries. We stand up for the stranger, and so
that's what Jesus taught.
I know that's what Jesus taught. And like, let me tell the Chicago nuns, those gals, they are the supreme social justice warriors out there. You also recall, especially for LGBT stuff, because of them, we have LGBTQ protections here in Chicago. Do you remember this story, Ellen?
Yeah, vaguely, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what happens when Equality Illinois was starting to form, sidetrack owner. Pepe and Art. Art went to the Chicago nuns, went to the nuns who were like, look, we're trying to pass these LGBTQ protections. And most of these aldermen at the time, aldermen at, on city council, they were good Catholic boys and they all went to school, and the nuns went to them. And we're like, this is what we need to do. We need to provide these special protections. Because of the nuns here in Chicago, we have LGBTQ plus protections here in the city. So that was a big
Yes.
I was like, okay, so this might be good. This might be a good thing. But I will say some LGBTQ Catholics have expressed concern, as you alluded to, about anti-queer remarks made more than a decade ago to The Guardian in 2012, which he condemned what he called all the things, the homosexual lifestyle, and the redefinition of marriage is at odds with the gospel. And many folks hope that he will take up the work of Pope Francis. This was over a decade ago, these statements that he made. It was a different pope. It was, was it Benedict. Saint Benedict that was going on there? And in a statement from LGBTQ Catholic organization Dignity USA, they write, "We pray that the needs of those whom our church has historically marginalized, including LGBTQ plus people and their families, will continue to be heard and addressed by the Vatican and other church leaders. We express concern with the former cardinal's statements, as reported in the New York Times in a 2012 address to bishops. We note that this statement was made during the papacy of Benedict XVI, when doctrinal adherence appeared to be expected. In addition, the voices of LGBTQ people were rarely heard at a level of church leadership. We pray that Pope Leo XIV will demonstrate a willingness to listen and grow as he begins his new role as the leader of the global church. We also hope that Pope Leo XIV will have the moral clarity that will enable our church to continue to confront the many critical issues facing the entire global community, as well as to address the injustices and inequities that continue to plague our church itself." Again, that was a statement from Dignity USA. They are an LGBTQ plus Catholic organization. We've actually had a representative from them on the show in the early days. But I think it's really... it's powerful. It's potent. He delivered his first remarks today. And his first words as Pope were, "Peace be with you."
Yes.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
I am too. I really am.
About how the church can move forward. It's still messed up, I think. I mean, just the fact that there is the Vatican. I mean, I keep looking at all of this wealth. And we keep coming back to it here in this country, because now they're trying to do all these tax cuts and, everything to help the billionaires and blah, blah, blah. And now Ding Dong is saying that he might, doesn't mind taxing the rich, but only in blue states is where he's going to be going after them. I'm always just wondering, how much is enough?
Yeah.
How much is enough?
Same thing, Scott. How much is enough? It is like an addiction people have to power and money.
I guess, but I'm like, I don't know.
I mean, and Trump and his sons and Jared Kushner and all of them continue to enrich their own pocketbooks using diplomacy and the connections of government.
There's no diplomacy.
Yeah, well, they're
not diplomacy. They're making backroom deals.
He's heading to the Middle East, of course.
Right.
Rather than going to Europe where our allies are, he's going to the Middle East because he has business there and he wants to continue to do business there. But in the name of quote unquote diplomacy and using it for his own enrichment is what I mean by the diplomacy.
And I don't see how MAGA is okay with this. I don't see how it is clear he is running a grift. He is he is lining his pockets between those bitcoins, between all that crap that he's been selling. I haven't yet to verify this, but there was jibber jabber on social media this morning that the UAE, the royal family of the United Arab Emirates, is giving him a plane.
I'm sure they are. I bet they are.
But hello. That's how do you not see this as a bribe? How do you not see this as taking money?
Because they have their ears and eyes covered, many of them, just like they did when they voted for him. As I've said time and time again, those of us on the other side knew more about what he was saying and doing than those that chose to vote for him. They just said, no, I don't want to hear the noise. He's the guy. But I will say this. I'm hearing more and more, like my mother-in-law voted for him and she's really regretting it now. My mother and father voted for him and they're there are people out there that voted for him that are realizing the error of their ways.
Great.
Obviously,
Well, what are they going to do?
What are they going to do?
What are they going to
Hopefully
do?
vote in the midterms. I don't know what else they can do but try and change the course, because they've, and as I've also harped on, all of those that chose not to vote, they are the ones with their conscience they have to deal with, because they I don't know what their thinking was, but here's what they have wrought up on all of us right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we will all suffer, but some will suffer even worse.
Yeah. And that, I guess, I don't know, we kind of got astray from like the Catholic Church and everything, but in terms of like, just the wealth that is on display at the Vatican. I mean,
It's all, it's like
if
a
we're
syndicate.
about, I was trying to keep it a little more positive, but
I'm called spade a spade.
Yeah. But it's that's the part that's always so disheartening. It's like you have these wealthy institutions who are about preaching a message of helping the poor, feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, welcoming the stranger, and all of that. But they are sitting on all this money. It's like, well, why don't let's use this money to go do some good works. That is the thing too, especially with Ding Dong. Mm-hmm. You have to watch what he does, not what he says.
Oh yeah.
Because every time he says something, like even that disgusting, we didn't even talk about it last week when he's put out that AI generated picture of him as the Pope.
Disgusting.
Like that was just like, are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Most of the people are still in who this affects are still in the official mourning period of this time, and then you did this.
I just nothing surprises me what he says.
But what happens is, we do that. We look over there while
distraction.
Instead of what's happening over here, what's really going on. It is.
There was the Pope John Paul I, who died 33 days or so after his election back in 1978. There has always been there's been theories. There's been that potentially he was killed because he wanted to change the banking, the money, the financial thing. He saw it for what it was.
Oh, conspiracy theories.
There are conspiracy theories about him. One interesting thing, quickly before we go to break, in 1978, I was in Rome, and I went to the Vatican with a friend. And in those days, you could go to the roof. They'd let you go on the roof. Oh, wow, all right. And he and I, my friend Murray and I, climbed up to the roof of the Vatican, and we were all on the top of the Vatican. And this custodian or somebody that was working, he says, Americans? I said, yeah. He said, I want to tell you, they killed the Pope.
Oh.
I swear to God.
All right.
And I didn't even know what he was talking about. I knew he had died a few months before we got there. He died in September.
That Americans killed the Pope?
No. He was looking to talk to me. To tell me.
Oh, dun, dun, dun.
This guy that worked in the Vatican told me and my friend Murray on the roof of the Vatican, they killed the Pope.
All right. Well, hopefully things go better for Pope Leo.
And I know, but this guy was a guy that tried to
do all that,
to do the things that again to get the banking and the financial. So, I hope Francis was also of the mind of taking care of the poor and those that have less. Obviously, so is Pope Leo. Those were the old days. Hopefully,
hopefully they'll be the new days. That we'll be leading with compassion, with grace, and with love. Yeah. And that is
because we haven't seen enough of it, especially with America as the country that supposedly leads the world and having the kind of administration and leader that we have right now.
All they want to do is they just want people to be cruel. They have given license to people to be cruel.
We have nothing but cruelty, and this is why I'm so hopeful that I've never been before for a religious figure.
Well, I hope so, because there's a lot of anger that's being fostered, and people are just living in a state of just cruelty and animosity, which is.
And I don't think we're not naturally that way. And I think no matter how you voted, this cruelty that we're seeing is something that is getting into people's hearts and minds. Yeah. How horrible it is, and hopefully it will change it. That's all we can hope for.
Hopefully it will. So good luck, Pope.
Good luck.
Remember, no ketchup.
No ketchup.
No ketchup.
The Bears.
The Pope.
Da Pope.
Lots of jardinera everywhere.
The memes have just been...
They've been great. Every Chicago comic has started writing down everything. Okay, no ketchup on the Eucharist. Jardinera everywhere. There we go.
It's great.
The Chicago handshake is now part of the Eucharist. There we are.
How long before you know who goes after him, though? Because he's from Chicago, and we know how much he loves Chicago.
He loves Chicago.
Yeah.
Well, whatever.
It's nice that we're in the spotlight for something great, though.
There we go. Indeed. And speaking of the spotlight, we got to take a break.
Yes.
But when we come back, we're going to be speaking with one of the actors from Titanic the musical that's now out at Marriott Lincolnshire, Marriott Theater out there, and people are just loving it. And it's the wonderful Mark David Kaplan. So please stick around. You are listening to Out Chicago right here on WCPT Heartland Signal.
Amy Goodman reports on the news stories rarely covered by the corporate media. Democracy Now!
The UN's Humanitarian Affairs Office warned Palestinian children are at high risk of injury or death from unexploded ordnance left after more than 13 months of Israeli attacks. 8-year-old Mohammed Karmash, this is his mother.
No one was there to tell him that these are explosives that the Israelis throw.
Democracy Now! Weekday evenings at 10 on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
WCPT Replay.
I have a treat. Tom Skilling, Chicago's weatherman emeritus. Look, I trust you a whole lot more than I trust Elon Musk to tell me what works in weather prediction. So what do you think are the consequences of their gutting NOAA and the National Weather Service?
Oh, it's awful. It's just awful. Our Weather Service is an institution that's been around in one form or another since 1870. And what's going on right now with these budget cuts at NOAA and the National Weather Service, really threaten the integrity of the system. Do you realize, Edwin, in the course of a day, our National Weather Service collects 6.3 billion weather observations. In the course of a year, it will produce 1.5 million forecasts and 50,000 warnings of one form or another. These are essential. They're life-saving.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Hey, this is Mark Patton, and I'm from Spring Clean My Nightmare on Elm Street, and you're listening to Out Chicago.
And welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ella Miller, rolling along, singing a song.
Yes.
There we are. Look, there seems to be Titanic fever in Chicago.
Oh my God! Forever.
Look, if you got the wackadoodle Celine Dion driven Titanic, but for something that's a little more serious, with a more serious edge, a little more serious tone. There is Titanic, the musical, at Marriott Theater that's running through June 1st. It is getting rave reviews, particularly for tackling issues of class, immigration, and hubris. All incredibly timely, if you ask me. And joining us now is actor Mark David Kaplan. Mark, welcome back to the show.
Mark,
we cannot hear you right now.
We're listening.
I think we lost Mark right there.
Fixed now.
Well, there we go.
Okay, well, we'll get him back.
We will get him back. That's going on there. Yes. So,
have you seen the other one yet? The Titanic.
The Titanic. I have not. I was supposed to go for opening night, but I was not feeling well. Everybody is just losing their minds on the whole thing.
Okay, we got Mark back.
Is Mark back?
Yes, he is.
Hello, Mark.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, Mark. We can hear you now.
Congrats.
Hi, my friend.
Hello. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Thanks for that intro. Can you believe you're talking to me about something serious?
I know that, which is not right because you are so wrong on so many wonderful ways. But congratulations!
Thanks.
How the show is getting rave reviews. It's going around. How is this show going for you?
It's amazing. Honestly, there are those jobs in your life, and we all can identify with this. I love what I do all the time, but there are those jobs you're like, oh, I got to go do two of these today. today I'm like, I'm so happy I get to do 2 of these. It's a real gift.
Wow.
It's a real treat.
Oh, well, good. Congratulations. I know sometimes those can be few and far between, but you, of course, with somebody as lovely as a human as you and such an incredible actor, I'm always jealous of you. Well, not jealous. I'm in awe. How about that?
Oh.
I'm in awe.
Well, I feel the same about you. So let's do something together.
There we are. We're pretty awesome. So for folks who, spoiler, it doesn't end well. There we are.
It does not end well.
No, it does not end well. But can you tell our listeners who are you playing in this, and what is the kind of the arc of your character?
Oh, and unlike Titanic, down at the which is based on the film Titanic,
right?
We all pretty much portray real people who were on the RMS Titanic for this maiden voyage. I play Isidore Strauss, who at the time was one of the owners of Macy's department store. He was a German immigrant. He was an American, but he was had immigrated from Germany. And the lovely Heidi Kettering plays my wife, Ida Strauss. We play real live people, I mean, it's really it's a history lesson. We have so many people come see the show who know, the lore of the Titanic. We've had people come who have letters that they bought at auctions and things. So it's really very we just choose to tell a real story with all of its ups and downs that ends up quite literally down.
Right.
So Mark, what about portraying that character? Did you find most challenging or most rewarding?
I'll be flat out honest with both of you right now. With parents who've been together 70 years, who are both in their 90s, I am hearkening to all of my familial resources. This couple was together 40 years, the Strausses, and as the story goes, he refused to go on a lifeboat. He said, younger people first. And she turned to him and says, why would I live without you? Where you go, I go. And they end up, she's basically, a lot of people didn't survive, but she's probably the most well-known female identifying, passenger who did not survive. I hearken back to a lot of, it's easy again because my dear friend Heidi Kettering, who I've known for 30 years, I get to play opposite. But there's a lot of, it's an incredibly full second act, not just for us, but for so many people. There's this scene like literally where we're pushing people onto lifeboats, and then you see them go away and you see who's left. And it's an emotional bath, I call it. It's a bath every day that washes over you. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge, but it's also, honestly, it's such a privilege to get to sit in it and just let it happen for me and to me every day, every show.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow. That really is a gift to be able to have something that's like, okay, let's just tell the story. And
absolutely.
And and it's got to be very challenging too, because the Marriott is in the round.
It
sure is, and that's for folks who might not be as familiar with what that means. That means that literally the stage is in the middle of the room. It is a circle, and there are audience on all sides.
Exactly.
So what was it like? What were some of the challenges of telling that story, especially with the technical elements that need to go on? Because I believe when Titanic first opened or was in previews on Broadway, the boat didn't sink, so it was oh, oops. How have y'all as the team? Because
I can tell you about that. It's designed gorgeously, and it's actually directed. Conor Gallagher, who is the director that was a director choreographer from New York. He and the designers treated this with such care. There's obviously, and this is true because I was living in New York at the time, when I saw my friend Brian Darcy James play the Barrett in Titanic. There, you can't really effectively portray a boat on stage anyhow,
right?
Let alone a boat sinking on stage. So there were a lot of illusions that were created. The reality about the Marriott, it's kind of an open palette, and there's lots of things that happen above and around us and the lights. He took such care with how he portrayed the show from all of those angles of the theater. There's something different going on depending on where you're standing. But there's a top of it that sort of depicts, like the upper, like the bow of the ship. It's a little bit higher. It sort of even represents the first class. Then there's a middle level, second class, basically, and then a step down, which becomes the third class. And already you're creating not only 3 different vistas, but like dozens of vistas for an audience to be able to see things. So I would say that at best, and I love this kind of storytelling, visually, it's minimalist with respect to, you're not seeing a lot of props and pieces and things. You're seeing people, sort of enact the action of what's going on. And it's really smartly done. It's really smartly done.
That's what all of the reviews have been saying, and I think that's it's one of my favorite ways to see theater, because as an audience member, you are challenged to you are a part of the show, because you are helping to create the illusion or create the reality that is happening on stage. It's
absolutely,
I know,
absolutely. And they're really close. I feel like, and I've worked at the Marriott before, obviously, but well, not obviously to your. I think the first show I did there was when I moved here in the late '80s. So it has evolved. Theater making has evolved since then. But being able to the gorgeous sort of like there's a blue glow a lot of times, and the audience has to know nowadays we can see you. We can see you. You can see us. So the give back is really sort of is in real time. It's real live, and I love looking at people, and I mean, I try not to ever, directly engage with any one person given the moment, but to watch how this is literally washing over people is really special.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. There's something to do, like a big musical like that in a what is profoundly an intimate space. Ultimately,
Is there a moment? Right. Is there a moment, Mark, that really resonated with you more than others in the course of the show? Any specific moment?
Yeah, that's a great question. There are a few moments. I have to tell you, this is the other thing too. I consider myself, I've gone through the years, in the last few years, I've kind of not been doing as many musicals. And when I got the offer to do this, I thought it's what we call a big fat thing. It's Mari Yustin wrote a beautiful score. It's operatic at moments. When we sing the opening number, and it's this opening number, it's probably about 15, 16 minutes long, because you're seeing everything happen. The wall of sound that I know is happening, and the gorgeous, mostly strings and rhythm in the pit, led by Brad Hawk and music directed by Ryan Nelson. It's just to be in the middle of that, to get to sing that again, because I've done chorale work. It's been a long time since I've sung something like this. So just the actuality of getting to sing, particularly the beginning and the end, it is always something brand new, and it hits me every night. Every night I do it.
I love that.
And I also love the scene work that I get to do with Heidi again. I'll mention her again.
I know, not too shabby, right? With the oldie Heidi Kettenring.
Nice.
Right?
Yes.
Who's being honored with an award tomorrow night. It's like there's just royalty all around. So,
all over the place. Well, if you want soaring vocals, beautiful technical elements, incredible acting, and great storytelling, I've got a sinking feeling you're gonna want to hop into a lifeboat and head to Marriott Theater, Lincolnshire.
Very nice, Scott. Take a bow.
I am bowing. Take a bow from the aft and the port side. There we are. Mark David Kaplan, one of the incredibly talented ensemble of actors in Titanic, the musical, running through June 1st at Marriott Theater in Lincolnshire. Break legs. Congratulations on a beautiful show, and also congratulations on really receiving this as the gift that it is for you as a human and as an actor. It's great.
Friend, I appreciate talking to both of you always.
Thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate it.
Mark David Kaplan, he's amazing. He's groovy. I love him. He doesn't make it at the end. The boat goes down.
Don't spoil it,
The boat goes down. We all know that. All right. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it's the second hour of Out Chicago right here on WCPT.
A Around the Town Chicago with Al Besloff.
Oh, that's Jan. Okay. That's Jan Chakowski is going to be calling in. So
from Evanston.
Yeah. Jan.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi there. Do you know the answer to our quiz?
Just because you're you, we want to send you something. You're going to get a gift certificate to go to Stacked and Folded in Evanston and have some food.
Thank you. And as long as it's not a bribe, I can accept it.
Sunday afternoons at 1 on WCPT 820.
Here's how we long for Skechers hands-free slip-in footwear.
The world has gone hands-free. However, if you want to put on a pair of sneakers, you still need to bend down and help your feet in. Until now. Introducing Skechers hands-free slip-in footwear. You don't need to reach down to help your heel in. You just step into them and off you go. So what's the secret? Well, there's a special smooth comfort pillow in the heel that helps your foot slide into place. And they stay on just like a pair of laced-up sneakers.
Get hands-free slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Facts matter now more than ever. This is WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. We're your source for truth.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Carton. Russian President Vladimir Putin says he's ready to restart negotiations to secure an end to the Ukraine war. Chris Garagio has more.
He suggested talks could start May 15th in Turkey. This comes after the leaders of Britain, France, Germany, and Poland visited Kyiv Saturday to meet with Ukrainian President Zelensky and to put pressure on Moscow to agree to a full 30-day ceasefire. The five leaders are calling for the truce to begin Monday. Ukraine's prime minister said all five leaders also had a further phone call with President Trump focused on the peace efforts.
Baseline tariffs of 10% are likely to stay in place as the U.S. negotiates trade deals with countries around the world. That's the word from Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, who tells CNN's State of the Union that foreign companies and countries, and not Americans, will bear the burden.
We do expect a 10% baseline tariff to be in place for the foreseeable future, but don't buy the silly arguments that the U.S. consumer pays. Businesses, their job is to try to sell to the American consumer.
Lutnick says he's optimistic about U.S. trade talks with China in Switzerland this weekend, but didn't provide any details. In a post on social media, President Trump described Saturday's meeting as very good, saying there was great progress made. Talks are continuing today. Pope Leo XIV is calling for world peace as he delivered his first Sunday blessing. Speaking from the balcony of St. Peter's Square, the pontiff noted conflicts raging around the globe, including in Ukraine and Gaza. The first American pope also wished women worldwide, including those in heaven, a happy Mother's Day. Earlier, Pope Leo celebrated a private mass near the tomb of St. Peter. The southeast is bracing for heavy rains as an atmospheric river slams the Gulf Coast. Forecasters are predicting over 6 inches of rain. You're listening to the latest on NBC News Radio.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
You've been working hard all day and didn't have time to catch up on the news during work.
And that phone just wouldn't stop.
We've got you covered. Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive.
We will fight as many places and as many times as it takes to get this power back.
Joan Esposito, afternoons from 2 to 5 p.m., WCPT 820.
The Sports Cubicle.
Here in WCPT, we're fortunate enough to have the new head coach of DePaul University, Chris Holtman. You have that tough December where you're going to have 2 conference games, and then does that seem like it's going to work for you? Are you going to be having up tempo, or do you even know that yet?
We are really trying to play with great pace, more so than really at any point in my career. That's something we've really emphasized since the summer.
The Sports Cubicle with Mike Mercado, Devin Tingle, Dan Marver, and Paul Shivari. Sunday nights, 9 p.m. on WCPT.
Count on Kohl's for those special gifts Mom deserves this Mother's Day. Inspire her inner chef with must-haves for her kitchen, wellness essentials for her fitness routine, and jewelry for her perfect night out. Plus, you can save 15% on some of your finds and earn Kohl's Cash. Find Mom's perfect gift in time for Mother's Day at Kohl's and Kohl's.com. Select styles. Offer valid through May 11th. Kohl's Cash and coupons do not apply to Sephora. Exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for more details.
This is a WCPT moment in labor. In 2011, 6 Jimmy John's employees in Minneapolis were fired by their franchise-owning company, Mickey Lynn Enterprises, after fighting for paid sick days. This is a common theme in the union-free world of fast food. Over 13 million Americans work in the fast food industry, making an average of $13,500 a year, not even half the average cost of living. 80% of fast food workers have experienced work-related injuries, and only 13% were covered by their employer. A group of employees referred to as the Jimmy John 6 fought for these rights, creating an online campaign, posting a picture of 2 sandwiches saying one of these was made by a healthy employee, the other was made by a sick employee. Can you tell the difference? Too bad, as Jimmy John's workers do not get paid sick days. Help workers win sick days. More than 32 million Americans work a job that does not offer paid sick days. This has been a WCPT Moment in Labor. We're working for your rights.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
I'd like to welcome you to WCPT AM's Out Chicago. Think of us as Sunday brunch with your gay best friends. Now please welcome your host, Scott Duff.
Welcome back to the second hour of Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ellen Miller.
Hello,
rolling
everybody.
along. Hey, the Credo Mobile phone and text line is 773-763-9278. Credo Mobile, a progressive phone company that is better for all people and the planet. We'd love to hear you, so give us a text. Chime in.
Yes.
There we are. Especially if you want to give a big old shout out to any of those mothers out there that are just so fabulous and wonderful. There we go.
Oh.
Yes. Hey, I'm very excited about our next guest.
I know you are.
That's
I am
happening.
too.
I'm a huge fan of the Chicago Shakespeare Theater. I mean, I'm talking back from like the Ruth Page days.
Oh, yeah.
Before we moved on down to the pier. And holy smokes. White smoke from the Pope. CSD, they are having such an incredible season, and the 2025-26 season is set to be equally as amazing, featuring a new play about tennis legend Billie Jean King and the U.S. premiere of Brokeback Mountain. And joining us right now is the artistic director of Chicago Shakespeare Theatre, Ed Hall. Ed, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here with you.
Well, first, congratulations on an amazing season. Ellen and I have been to a couple of shows there. It's always a treat. Can you tell our listeners, what was your journey to becoming artistic director of Chicago Shakespeare Theatre in 2023?
Well, this extraordinary theatre brings together 2 of my great passions, and it's contemporary work and new writing and Shakespeare. I had the honour of running a new writing theatre in London for 10 years at Hampstead, and I ran an all-male Shakespeare touring company called Propeller for 20 years. So these have been my 2 big passions, and Chicago Shakespeare Theatre, in what has to be one of the great theatre cities of the world, represented to me a chance to bring those 2 passions of mine together under one roof across those 3 auditoriums and put work like Brokeback and Billie Jean next to plays like Much Ado About Nothing and Merry Wives of Windsor.
Yeah, how do you balance the classical works like Pericles with, the some of the original pieces that you're programming these days?
Well, I kind of like to keep it about 50-50. I mean, in the season coming up, actually, there are over a half of our performances are Shakespeare or Shakespeare related. So I kind of look very carefully at that and try and pace it out through the year. So there are 6 different Shakespeare offerings in the season coming up out of 12 pieces of work. So I kind of look for that kind of numerical balance. And then I look at themes as well. I mean, last year we had The Lord of the Rings, and Tolkien was a huge Shakespeare fan, and then we had Pericles. So, Tolkien's mythical journey through Middle-earth, to me, had something to do with Pericles' slightly mythical journey across these different worlds and islands as he went on a kind of quest for truth and to find his lost daughter.
Yeah, look, I know. I love Shakespeare. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love performing it. I love seeing it. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize when it comes to when it comes to Shakespeare, 90% of the language that is used in Shakespeare, we still use today. It's just rearranged because some people get freaked out by the whole thing.
Totally.
Yes. But one of the best things about Shakespeare, Shakespeare originally wasn't meant to be read. People are reading it in high schools and, in college classes, and it feels like a chore, but it was meant to be heard and scene. What was your gateway drug into Shakespeare? Like, what was the moment where you're like, oh, I get this?
Oh, I watched Laurence Olivier's Hamlet when I was very young, and I found the play quite disturbing and worrying, but kind of intriguing. And as I kind of grew up and I got into my early 20s, I felt this writer was challenging everything I thought was true about the world. Every time I had a kind of point of view, he'd show me a character that was looking at the world from a different perspective and kind of opened my eyes a bit wider. And so I try to do with Shakespeare now what I call bringing it down to eye level. So when you walk in the theatre, I don't need you to have read the play, read the program, done research. I just need you to walk in and sit down, and I start. And my job is to make it as accessible, modern, and immediate to you as it was to an Elizabethan audience, who, after all, most of them couldn't read or write. 90% of his audience were far less educated than 100% of our audience today. Mm-hmm. So if we do our job right as theatre makers, we should be kind of re-stamping these plays as modern plays, as contemporary stories, which is what he did. And the idea of some kind of, Elizabethan classical theatre is as a sort of strange version of a 21st century version of a 16th century version of a 14th century Italy, or wherever the play was set that we're doing. So we don't really know what that is. So certainly when I did Richard III and Henry V recently at Chicago Shakespeare and the Midsummer Night's Dream, they were all, modern looks at the plays. My jumping off points were very much rooted in the play itself. So, the gesture of the play, I like to think, remains true, but I'm looking to bring, the audience of tomorrow through the door.
Yeah. They've made it accessible.
Where it's going to continue to live.
Yeah.
Well, and not only accessible, like all of the productions there are just they're visceral. They are muscular. I'm glad you brought up Richard III, because your Richard III was just like mind blowing with the her name is escaping me. The Paralympic athlete
Katie Sullivan,
yes.
Katie Sullivan, who played Richard.
Yeah. I mean, you are taking to have a woman in the role. Right there. What's going on? But like, there's something so universal about these classic plays, about that canon, that body of work of Shakespeare, that really can stand up to the themes. We still face them today.
Yes.
We so do. And I have been doing gender blind casting in Shakespeare for 25 years, and Katie Sullivan playing Richard was an example of a great actor transforming herself into a character. And there happens to be a gender jump in that, but that's no different from, someone who identifies male playing Hamlet. They don't know what it's like to be Prince of Denmark and be suffering the things Hamlet. They have to use their imagination and transform themselves. So Shakespeare really lends itself to creating communities within a play and a company of actors that, to me, comes closer to reflecting the world we live in now. And that way they do, if you manage to do that, it can amplify the universal themes within the stories themselves.
Well, as we are moving into the new 2025-26 season, what is lined up? Tell our listeners a little bit about what's coming down the pike.
Well, we have 42 balloons just about to start previewing in the yard, which is kind of like it's such a brilliant American story. Lawn chair Larry in the 80s, who flew with 42 helium balloons at a launch chair up over LAX and closed the airport. It's a really uplifting story. And then we have Billie Jean coming in, which I'm very excited about. Lauren Gunderson's new play about Billie Jean, directed by Mark Bruni, who directed The Great Gatsby, amongst other things, on Broadway. So I think that's going to be a real event. And Billie, I understand, used to, I don't know if she still has an apartment on Lakeshore Drive, but I know she has said in the past that she thinks Chicago is the most underrated city in America.
Yeah.
So it's rather nice to be telling her story in Chicago.
She used to live in the Bloomingdale's building. Years back in the 90s, I was waiting tables in there, and she would often come in, and it was hard not to geek out in front of her.
She used to show up at my at the health club where I work out, because there's a tennis program there. Has she had any involvement in the production itself?
Yeah, she's been involved in it from the beginning with the writers and the creative teams. And I think, I mean, to me, it's a play about, yes, it's about tennis. That's the world in which it's set. But it's about so much more than that. Yeah. And I think she's such an extraordinary figure, and she's broken down so many barriers and smashed so many glass ceilings. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to put that on our stage. And then, of course, we have Circus Abyssinia from Ethiopia, which is going to be turning up in our courtyard. That's a family show. You know, an unbelievable Ethiopian circus through the summer, and a brand new version of Ain't Misbehaving, which Andre de Shields, who was in the original production.
My brain melted when I read that. I was like, what? Holy smokes.
Maybe we can have Andre back on the show.
I wish we could have Andre back on the show. We should, because like how talk about like bookending an incredible career, you know. But I'm sure
he's just I mean, he's an extraordinary artist.
Yeah.
Whenever he opens his mouth, he says something you never forget. No, he's an incandescently beautiful human being. And that combination with Richard Maltby, who's just, I mean, his writing and his lyricism and his it's just extraordinary. And the way they've created this show back in the day and now coming back to it and reinventing it for a new generation, I think is going to make it a very exciting happening. And we have Much Ado About Nothing coming into the courtyard, a new production of that, directed by Selena Cadell, who actually, she directed Eddie Izzard's one-person Hamlet.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Another Hamlet, which Eddie came last year to Chicago Shakes and did a Hamlet, which was, I mean, unbelievable to watch one person do that whole play in front of you. It was a real experience. Yeah,
and I'm really excited for Rome Sweet Rome.
Yes, well, that's the good old Q brothers. I mean, I've long admired them.
Love them.
Greatest. And I met them when I first arrived, because I just reached out to them and we started talking, and I think we had a bit of a meeting of minds, and then they wrote some music for my Midsummer Night's Dream, and we had a little work on that. And then I read their Rome Sweet Rome, which was such a brilliant satire on Julius Caesar, and we decided we were going to put that, we were going to produce that together. And so I'm really excited to see it. It'll be about 80 minutes. It'll be entertaining, funny, irreverent, but within that wonderful anarchy they bring to their theatre making, they've stuck really closely to the play. So everything they've written and done comes from the original gesture of the play. And I know, because I've directed one of the plays I've directed and know very, very well. So I hugely admired what they'd, you know, the rigor with which they'd approached their work, and their satire it's really clever and really funny.
Yeah, they are some smart cookies, and so beyond talented. You know, which I think it also speaks volumes of, you know, the partnership that they have with Chicago Shakespeare Theatre, because again, you are taking something, a classic story like Julius Caesar, and then you are turning it into something that can be easily accessible to all ages, to all backgrounds. That's something just to show that there is life and joy that is still in these like 400-year-old texts, you know?
Yeah, and I hope people who've never seen Shakespeare, who come to see the Qs and come to see Rome Sweet Rome, are then intrigued enough to come back and see Much Ado About Nothing or Merry Wives of Windsor, or if they want to just dip their toe in a little bit lighter, they can see a 75-minute version of Hamlet, you know, and just ease your way into the idea of seeing a full-length play in the original text.
Yeah, and Much Ado About Nothing is one of my most favorite comedies and romances there, from the Bard, like Beatrice and Benedict, dream roles, either one of them I would love to play, just because it's...
Okay, is that a pitch?
Yes, there we are. Pitch, I think I would be a really good Beatrice, just because when, you know, again, just I'm a total Shakespeare geek. When you get to go and either see Shakespeare or you perform Shakespeare, you're seeing people who are just so witty and so eloquent. It's the language is truly delicious. It is a visceral thing. I love Much Ado About Nothing because it's just so just exuberant and so fun and perfect timing in like November when it's starting to get a little cold and you need to have like some.
And he's available then too.
I'm not.
He's available. Okay. All right. So maybe we should do some work tomorrow morning.
Fantastic.
I'll see you in the rehearsal room.
Fantastic. Love it. Love it. Love it. I will be there. I will be there.
Before we let you go, I have to give you kudos and compliments on Sunny Afternoon, the Kinks musical.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my God! I not only did I love it, I told everybody I knew about how, because I'm a musician and someone that's worked in rock radio for years, and the Kinks are a big part of my, and so many people of a certain age, and it was just a great evening of theater, and I hope.
Thank you.
I'm hoping that we continue to see great things for Sunny Afternoon, and hopefully it'll end up on Broadway.
I hope it has a longer life, because the great joy of it for me is watching, Ray and Dave's and the Kinks music find a whole new generation of people, and that just gives me, seeing grandparents with their grandchildren singing the songs together. That's just joy in a bottle for me. I love that. Thank you.
I was you're welcome. Much deserved. I was looking at the audience, and there were people that were quite a bit older than me, the grandparent, the white-haired, and they were singing along, and it just reminded me of the depth and breadth and longevity of the Kinks and how appealing they are. And there were a lot of young people there, too, so I think you accomplished that. So we'll keep an eye out for all the success for that, Ed. Great job, though.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I know we said we were going to let you go, but I have to ask about Brokeback. I have to ask about Brokeback Mountain.
Oh yeah, we need to know about that.
Because this is going to be the U.S. premiere of this. I know it was well received in London. Is it a play with music, or is it a musical?
Well, there are songs. It is a play with some music. There's songs by Dan Gillespie Sells, and so there are some original songs and original music and steel pedal and some really lovely sounds, and played live. So you have a live musical element to it, which I think gives it a brings the whole world of Brokeback into your imagination in a theatrical context. So you don't miss Ang Lee's great vistas on the screen, because it works on you in a very, very different way. And it's a 90-minute love story. I mean, it is so beautiful seeing it in a theater when you are in the room with the real people and you can pick up every tiny little nuance. And, this story set in 70s in working class Wyoming, and it is so powerful and moving and thought provoking as well. I'm really proud and pleased to be able to bring Jonathan Buttrell, the show's original director, to Chicago with his creative team. We'll have a new cast, so but watch this space. And I think this will collide with Pride. I think, so we begin on May the 28th next year and close at the end of June. So I'm really excited for bringing a whole kind of new audience into Chicago Shakespeare for that particular.
Well, I would say I wish I could quit Chicago Shakespeare, but that's a lie, because I don't want to quit Chicago Shakespeare. It is. I'm telling you, we are, as Ellen points out quite often, that we have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to the Chicago art scene, and Chicago Shakespeare Theater is one of those crown jewels in our city. It is always innovative. It is always exciting. As I said, it is visceral. It is muscular. It is delightful. Congratulations on this in a beautiful season so far. I know we're wrapping up near the in this summer, and also break all the legs as you head into the 2025-26 season, and make sure you check out all the incredible offerings that Chicago Shakespeare has to offer by visiting chicagoshakes.com. Artistic Director Ed Hall, what a delight and a privilege. Thank you for taking time out today to join us and break all the legs.
Yeah, thanks for curating a great season coming up. We really are excited to see it.
Thank you so much for your support and advocacy, and for buying tickets.
Yes, get your season subscriptions. And also, when you're there, the best view of the city is on the bathroom. It's from the bathroom up on the studio level. Just letting you know.
It's a little extra perk.
A little perk.
We call it a loo with a view.
It is a loo with a view. It is the best. Ed Hall, thank you for joining us today. Enjoy the sunshine and enjoy the rest of this gorgeous season.
Bless you. Take care.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, there's more Out Chicago right here on WCPT Heartland Signal.
This is a WCPT Civil Rights Snapshot. In August of 2022, American Airlines hosted the Bessie Coleman Aviation All-Stars Tour, celebrating the 100th anniversary of Bessie Coleman performing the first public flight by a woman of color. Bessie was a phenomenal pilot, but her path to get there was far from easy. When Bessie was 23, she moved in with her brothers who were returning from World War I. Bessie's brothers would tease Bessie because in France, women were allowed to fly planes, something Bessie could not. Determined, Bessie applied to several flight schools across the country, where she was declined for being a woman and being of color. Remembering what her brothers said, Bessie taught herself French and applied and was accepted to the Caudron Brothers School of Aviation in France and received her international pilot's license in 1921. Coleman traveled the country giving speeches and demonstrations, refusing to speak anywhere that was segregated. Sadly, in 1926, due to a loose wrench stuck in the engine, Bessie fell out of the plane to her death. Bessie's death was tragic, but it shows that even in 2022, her legacy still lives on. Please stay vigilant about our civil rights. The fight is never over.
70 years ago, the Blaine brothers founded Blaine's Farm and Fleet as one of the nation's first retail stores to sell goods at a discount. And we've helped supply Midwest farms and families with quality products at unbeatable prices ever since. Like DeWalt 20-volt atomic drill or impact kits, $99. A Rhino Pull electric winch and hoist, $499.99. Plus, in our tire and auto service center, name brand tires are buy 3, get 1 free for rewards members. Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Being original.
Is your upper floor too hot in the summer? Are energy bills climbing with every degree? Green Attic can help. With over 15 years of experience and more than 1,000 5-star reviews, Green Attic is a trusted Chicagoland name for insulation, ventilation, and roofing solutions that improve comfort, energy efficiency, and indoor air quality. They specialize in attic insulation, spray foam, crawl space encapsulation, mold remediation, and solar attic fan installation, all designed to keep your home cooler in the warmer months. Green Attic also offers full-service roofing through Green Attic Roofing, including traditional and solar roofing systems with instant online quotes and long-lasting, eco-friendly materials. Green Attic backs its work with the industry's only 10-year labor warranty, plus lifetime warranties on selected materials. Schedule a free installation consultation at greenattic.com or get an instant roofing quote at greenatticroofing.com. That's greenattic.com and greenatticroofing.com.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
I'm Israel Wright with National Gay and Lesbian Sports Hall of Fame. Welcome back to Out Chicago on WCPT.
And welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ellen Miller. Just doing our thing. I love Chicago Shakespeare Theater. I'm telling you.
I do too. And I've never been, the biggest Shakespeare fan, but they have taught me.
Have you gone to see like a Shakespeare?
But I have.
You have seen? Okay, good. Yeah.
They have. They've made it more accessible to people like me who,
people just get freaked out.
They get freaked out because it's, am I going to understand? Am I going to,
yes,
the words are going to be too, right? But I've enjoyed everything I've seen from them.
Did you go see that Tempest that they did that featured Tom Waits music live and all the magic?
Yes,
from
I loved that.
Was it Teller? Yeah, Teller directed it.
That was special.
It was so amazing.
They take it to a whole nother level. They really can't even imagine.
So make sure you go to chicagoshakes.com. Go check everything out over there. And also, recently we just celebrated 20 years. And as WCPT celebrates 20 years on the air, we want to hear your WCPT story. Call 773-467-8202 today and leave a voicemail telling your story. We'll be playing some of the messages on the air. So that number again is 773-467-8202. You can also leave a comment there about today's show or whatever happens to be on your mind. But fun way, we love engaging our listeners because we are a big family here.
For sure. And thanks in advance for doing that.
Yeah.
Look forward to hearing those messages.
And while you're at it, be sure to visit WCPT's 20th anniversary page at heartlandsignal.com/anniversary. There you're going to find a playlist that includes our full, it was a 4.5-hour May 3rd broadcast. Oof.
Wow.
Yeah. And all of the different conversations we had that day with special guests, including Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, State Senator Laura Fine, State Rep Tracy Katz-Mule, Jill Winebanks. She had her pin. She had her pins on. And Tom Hartman. Plus, you can see photos covering 20 years of WCPT right up to last Saturday's shindig at Max and Benny's. And if you were there and took some photos, I'd like to share them. Text them to 773-763-9278. We mail them to the broadcast.
Sorry I missed, but I heard it was a great event.
There we go.
Glad you were there in my stead. Yeah.
There we are. So earlier in the show, we were talking about watch what people are doing and not what they are saying. So we know right now with this current administration, the main... Well, there are a couple of prime focuses. One is, of course, immigrants that they're love to be hating on, which, of course, as you know, is the most Christian thing to do. But they also love to target the trans community.
Oh, boy,
the LGBTQ community in general, but particularly the trans community. And it was kind of it was not a great week this week. So the U.S. Supreme Court on Tuesday granted the Trump administration's request to immediately enforce its ban on transgender military service, allowing the Pentagon to begin discharging service members with a diagnosis or history of gender dysphoria and to deny enlistment to transgender Americans. The unsigned order issued over the dissent of the court's 3 liberal justices lists a nationwide preliminary injunction put in place in one of the several legal challenges to the order. So basically, the order's still going, but their mandates that they can move forward with their ban. And Hegseth, and somebody please explain to me why he still has a job.
Oh, God, he's horrible.
He's awful.
We knew he would be.
I know, but he's just not qualified.
No, not
He's
qualified
not qualified at all. He issued an ultimatum to transgender service members earlier this week, advising them to voluntarily resign by June 6th or face eventual involuntary termination. He had a speech. He posted something to social media 2 days after he denigrated trans service members in a speech to Special Forces operators, saying, and I quote, "We are leaving wokeness and weakness behind. No more pronouns. No more climate change obsession. No more emergency vaccine mandates. No more dudes in dresses. We're done with that poop." But he did not say poop.
No.
There we are. So, the last I heard, dresses were not part of the military uniform.
No, I didn't think so.
I think that was what's going to happen and everything like that.
There's 4,200 transgender individuals currently serving in the military, and they have vital roles. A lot of them have very vital roles, and
have served honorably and with long careers.
Yes.
A lot of these folks here. And the Daily Show last week, they had a really great job. Jordan Klepper met up with a group of 4 folks who one was a Black Hawk pilot, another one had a 17-year career, another one was signing up to be, I forget. These people, there are 4 trans folks who are in the military, and they keep going after the Black Hawk pilot had the best quote of saying, "So we're too strong for sports, but too weak for the military," which it's these are people who willingly enlisted. They are serving their country in some very, very vital roles. And at least with these 4, part of the thing is they're talking about how, it's just so expensive. These people are signing up just so they can get gender affirming care, blah, blah. Everybody's convinced that people are turning trans left and right. Not the case.
No.
Not the case. But they were saying that it costs the military too much money to support these soldiers. But let's remember that the U.S. military spends 8 times the amount on Viagra than gender affirming treatment.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Well, I'm putting it somewhere.
Yeah,
but
put that somewhere.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't understand it. These are people who are, you have military veterans who are like, this is just going to disrupt things even more because it's going to be a witch hunt. If people who are not out already, they're going to try to weasel them out. It's going to totally interrupt unit cohesion. Nobody cares when you are on the front lines, like what pronoun you use. You address somebody by their rank and their last name. That's what it is. They don't care. They just want to know that you've got their back and that they've got your back.
Yeah, it's the furthering of hate and cruelty. It is a punching bag that we have seen. The trans community is the biggest punching bag. They, as we've said time and time again, Elon Musk proved it to be a winning strategy for his buddy Trump when they spent millions and millions of dollars running the same ad, the same scary, ridiculous piece of propaganda over 35,000 times in swing states. And they saw that worked for them. So they're continuing to beat that drum.
Again, organized discontent. And they have created a boogeyman in trans people. Again, trans people in the United States make up about 0.1% of the population. So this amount of time, money, energy, vitriol, this is what we need to be focusing on right now.
Hell no.
No, I don't think so. I do not think so. And this was also, and it doesn't, Jasmine Crockett also doesn't think that this is what we should be doing. She was so great this week. She's always great.
She's great.
We need more Jasmine Crockett's. We need more Jasmine Crockett's. We need more Chris Murphys. We need more AOCs.
Yes.
We need more people who are just standing up. And also, on occasion, Rand Paul.
Did he stand up?
He stood up a couple of times.
Good. There's a little hope.
A little hope. Yeah. What's going on there? But earlier this week, so Representative Jasmine Crockett, she's from Texas. She had a nice little innovative attack on Marjorie Taylor Greene, and requested ban trans women from sports with a game that she invented called Trump or Trans. Now, Jasmine Crockett was chatting with National Women's Law Center CEO Fatima Gosgraves, and Gosgraves was asked to respond to a list of major problems in the country to say if it was Trump, or trans folks who were responsible. Spoiler, they were all ding dong.
Of course.
So the list that she kind of went through to include was gutting medical research, Trump, kidnapping Americans and sending them to foreign countries, aka deporting them, Trump, driving us into our recession, Trump, increasing the cost of everything. Trump, waging an idiotic tariff war, Trump, harming farmers, ignoring the Constitution, proposing to take away Social Security, cutting health care, firing government workers who keep our country safe, encouraging an environment of hate and divisiveness. Yep, that is all ding dong. And trans people are responsible for zero of that.
Nada of that.
Again, we need to be watching what he is doing and not really about what they're saying. The fact that they're taking time up to do this, trans women's sports, again, I believe the number of NCAA folks is 30.
Yeah.
30.
30.
But we got to rename the Gulf of Mexico because that's important.
Yes. And the Persian Gulf's going to be renamed too.
It's not going to be. He just floated it. He just wants to rename bodies of water.
Oh, he's out of his mind.
I know Governor Pritzker actually said, didn't he want to call this Lake Illinois?
Lake Illinois.
Illinois, and then go up to Geneva and take over that. You know, it's
it's hard. There's no common sense in it. It's just common cruelty.
Well, and it's just these cultural shenanigans are just a distraction.
Yes.
I don't know. People out there in red places, how many trans people do you know? How many trans people do you know that are coming for your job, or even worse?
How is your life changed by
playing
this?
Sports?
Yeah.
How is that? How is this person just living their life affecting you and how you live?
Yes.
It doesn't. Everybody needs to just mind your business. That's what it's all about. It's about minding your own damn business. And stop trying to put your moral values onto mine. I'm not asking you to like me. I am asking you to respect me.
That's right. As
a human.
That's right.
That's what we should do. The golden rule. Do unto others
as they have them do unto you.
Yep.
Yes.
So it's again, all of this just doesn't make any sense.
They've made them fearful for ridiculous reasons. I don't know what's going to change them. The people that are thinking that this is okay, to be cruel to people that are just living their authentic lives.
Yeah.
It's not affecting their lives.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I don't know. It is this, as Jasmine Crockett said, like he is cultivating an atmosphere, an environment of hatred and divisiveness.
Yes.
We can change that. The only thing in the world that we can change is how we react to something. That is the only way. And you can be, mad, vitriol. You can toss things to the side. Like, we can't do anything. There just has to be a change. There has to be a change. Right now, anytime somebody from MAGA or not MAGA, from the Republican Party, if they dare to say any word about, like, maybe this isn't a really great idea, you're going to be primaried. We're going to love your primary. You're a rhino. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And the same thing happens on the left, like, you're not progressive enough. We need young blood. And blah, blah, blah. It's like, and people who are like policing, the pronoun police and the all of that stuff that happens. Both the extremes are always bad. We need to come together to find a little bit more of a common ground, because when you do, you will realize that we pretty much want the same things.
Yeah.
We want a safe home to live in. We want a job. We want friends, family, good health. It'd be nice to take a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And all that. But it's like that's it. And we're not here to jam an agenda down your throat, is what people say. Anyway, let's go to the phones. Roosevelt is on line one.
Roosevelt.
Hey, Roosevelt, thanks for calling. Welcome to Chicago.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Doing all right. How are you?
Thank you for taking my call. Happy Mother's Day to you, your family, both of you.
Thank you.
Okay, I wanted to touch a subject I don't think hardly anybody's brought up. Do you remember when Trump said that they're eating their dogs, they're eating their cats? Remember who he was referring to? He was referring to one of those countries he said at one time there were S countries.
Yes, S-hole countries.
Okay, so, and they were concentrating on the Haitian community.
Yes.
Wait till he finds out that the new Pope's grandfather on his mother's side of the family was Haitian.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think he's already going to be going after the Pope anyway, because A, from Chicago
right away, target on his back,
and B, he came after
J.D. Vance
in a very loving, kind of gentle reminder way of like, hey, as a Catholic, J.D., you need to be welcoming the stranger. You need to be looking out for your neighbors. That whole thing. So yeah, we already know that Ding Dong is not going to like Leo.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if the meme of him dressed up as the Pope didn't drive Catholics away from him, the way he's going to treat the new Pope will, I'm sure, disenfranchise many.
I don't know what your religion is, but I'm a Catholic. He said that he can't wait to go see the Pope. As a Catholic, I don't want him in the Vatican. I don't want him after what he pulled with that, specifically what you guys mentioned, dressed up as a Pope.
Ridiculous.
He does not belong there.
No.
First of all, he's not a Catholic. Second of all, he laughed at us Catholics. I took it as a big insult.
Yeah.
I took it as a middle finger to the Francis, and a disrespect in general to Catholics. So,
he's so disturbed. He was saying that he'd make a great Pope, and that, knowing him, he believes that because he's just that crazy. He's that hell bent on power. So there's just no rationalizing him.
And another subject, what do you think he's up to with this idea now all of a sudden that he wants to tax the rich? In my opinion, I don't know what you guys' opinion is, but I like to hear it. In my opinion, he's in a no-lose situation, meaning he knows that it's not going to pass through Congress. So he's doing one of these things where he's flexing his muscle, but he doesn't really mean it as far as I'm concerned, because he knows what the outcome's going to be when it comes down to votes. And all he has to do is say, hey, the Congress didn't have the votes to do it. I really wanted it.
But he hasn't said that. See, that's the thing. Right now, what he is doing is being such wishy-washy language, as he always does. He plays both sides of the fence. He's like, if they want to raise taxes, I mean, I wouldn't do it, but if they want to do it, that's fine. It's like, okay, this is not very clear messaging. What do you want them to do? So he's doing the classic stuff of like, hey, look, I said I'd be cool with it. I mean, I wouldn't do it myself, but I'm cool with it, which is just like, we know, utter BS. And the thing that's really going after these is that it's going to affect mostly blue states, because if I'm remembering this correctly, he was going after states where they can to lower the amount of deductible from a certain tax bracket, so they will be able to charge more, tax them more, and disproportionately, it's going to affect blue states more than anything, because that's where all the people who make money. Because when we make money, we give it to the government, and then the government gives it to the red states. Yes. So there he's just trying to like backpedal and to figure out, well, we could have this money, because he wants his tax cuts to be re-upped after, they expire this year. And he wants to make sure that people don't realize that we're totally getting screwed. Anyway. Roosevelt, thank you so much for calling. It is always lovely to hear from you.
Happy Mother's Day.
Enjoy the day. We have got to take a quick break. When we come back, it is the final thrilling show-stopping moments about Chicago right here on WCPT Heartland Signal.
Where are they now with Art and Bobby?
Let's welcome today's guest, Larry Ambry, veteran Navy, radio man, second class. Maybe it's a good time now. Tell us a story on the ship.
The torpedoman, his name was Mentner, had called up to the conning officer and said somebody had defecated in the torpedo room.
Oh, my God.
So we followed the lieutenant down the torpedo room, and the lieutenant looks at it and he says, looks like poop. So he reaches down and he grabs some and he goes, oh, my goodness, smells like poop.
Listen to Where Are They Now Saturdays at 10 a.m.
Dive deeper into the heart of the news and stories at WCPT 820 and across the Midwest by checking out our website, heartlandsignal.com.
It's the coverage I can count on every time.
For the latest news updates, in-depth analysis, compelling stories, comprehensive election coverage, live streams, and thought-provoking opinions, head to heartlandsignal.com.
When I need to know, they're there.
They keep me informed and updated wherever I am.
Stay informed with WCPT 820, your go-to source for where facts matter.
If you're drowning in debt, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender, about a fresh start debt consolidation refinance. Today, meet Jordan, 47, project manager, married to Jackie, 43, executive assistant, combined income $260 G's a year, living in a $600,000 home with their 3 kids, called to pay off $120,000 worth of credit card debt, high interest rate consumer loans, and 2 401k loans. Team Hochberg loan officer Cindy Piazza helped Jordan and Jackie pay off their debt, eliminated their stress with the Team Hochberg Fresh Start Debt Consolidation Refinance, which saved them over $12,000 a year. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That number again is 855-563-2843 or visit that website you know and love, 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, MLS 1124061.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Hi, this is Renee Taylor. You're listening to Out Chicago, WCPT 820.
And welcome back. Every time she makes the giggle. Love that.
Before I forget, I brought you a little souvenir.
What? prizes. Oh my gosh, thank you.
From a little shop on Bourbon Street.
It's a gay shop because they've got a little gay thing.
Shop.
Oh,
I
it's a
thought of you when I saw it from when you're working.
Yes, if it involves fake smiling, I'm not going. There we are.
The proprietor, he makes all of his own magnets, of his own sayings. His name was Josh. We had a lovely
Thank
conversation.
you.
You're welcome. Just a little something.
Look, I love a magnet.
I thought of you when you saw
maybe
that.
there's something weird about, like, maybe it's a Gen X or an older generation thing, because like the younger kids, they like the stickers. They want to put stickers on everything.
Yeah.
I want a magnet. I want to slap it on. Slap it on my
There's a new
fridge.
magnet for you. But we were talking. He goes, "You're from Chicago." He goes, "What did they rename Boys Town?" And I go, "Gosh, we talked about it when it first happened, and I already forgot."
Good at North Halstead.
and he suggested maybe we should call it They Town.
All right.
There
we are.
Josh, I said I'd mention you.
Thank you,
Lovely
Josh.
young man.
Thank you for the magnet.
Yes.
This will go right next to. I have one. I've got a Morgan Freeman magnet on there.
Okay.
That says, "I hate the word homophobia. You're not afraid of homosexuals. You're just an a-hole." And that's a Morgan Freeman sort of quote right there.
Love it.
There we are. Know who else I love? I love Patty Vasquez. And on Monday from 5 to 7 p.m., Patty Vasquez will be driving it home with mind and body expert Jen Zanotti and Madeline Figueroa and Benita Sentien. Oh, Benita. I know Benita. She's wonderful.
There you go.
Comic co-host of the It's a Life Thing podcast, Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Central on WCPT 820 a.m., the Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And, of course, the Credo Mobile phone line and text line is 773-763-9278. Credo Mobile, a progressive phone company that is better for all people and the planet.
There you go.
So are you doing anything to honor and honor Venus?
Thinking about her today. We all love our moms. There's something very special. We never appreciate them till they're completely.
Here's the thing. We are lucky.
We're lucky.
We are lucky.
Yeah.
We had Jerry and I are lucky.
Yeah.
Like, we always talk about this, how lucky we are that we've had such incredible moms.
Yeah.
Not everybody is as lucky.
You're right. Mothers seem to supersede sometimes, though, even like, people that I know that have had difficult relationships with their mothers. It seems like as their mothers age that they come to a place where they both,
I think there's just
they
everybody
mellow
as maturing. You kind of come to.
And I tell everybody that, I've got some of my friends still have their moms. They have moms in their 90s generally. Mm-hmm. And I know how when your mother is failing, when they're not the same, it's frustrating. You lose your patience a little bit sometimes because you want mom to be like mom was. Mm-hmm. And raising your voice and being kind of, you've just got to try and tell yourself, you're going to look back on this and you're going to be happy when you're as kind as you can possibly be.
Oh, 100%.
And we've, because people do get frustrated. I got frustrated too sometimes. My mom didn't remember things, and you just have to constantly remind, if you've got an aging mom, that now the roles are reversed. When you were a child, they took care of you. You're kind of taking on that role of the mother with your mom as they need extra help. So just a gentle reminder for people to just trying to be patient, remember love above all. And, your mom's not going to be here forever. And I have a pretty clear conscience about my mom, and because I was a pretty dutiful daughter and I did a lot, but there's still times I said, I wish I would have discussed that with her. I wish I would have asked her more about her, because parents, you hear even actors on TV, they say, oh, is your kid excited that you're in this? Like, oh, they could care less about what I do. It's a universal thing. It's just kids.
Well, a part of the job of parenting is to raise, and also to raise kids to be independent and to have their own lives.
That's true.
That's part of it. But are you doing anything to celebrate her?
Not specifically.
Because usually I try to get some yellow flowers, and I will definitely have ice cream later on today because Phyllis loved ice cream.
Nice.
Loved ice cream. And yellow flowers always make me think of her. So I will definitely grab some of those if there are any left. It's a big,
it's flower day.
It's a big flower day. Yeah. And to all my friends out there in the trenches working brunches right now.
Oh, yeah. My God.
May your coffee be hot and your patience be unlimitless.
Yeah.
Just go.
My father threw the gauntlet down several years ago. He died in 2010, but he said, okay, no more brunches. We're not going to brunch anymore. We're cooking, because it was so maddening to go out to these brunches.
Well, you also have a huge family, too.
There's 4 of us. And you know, spouses and stuff. So we the last few years, everybody took turns making a dish and bringing it to mom and having a brunch at their house.
That's sweet. Amazing.
And I love that so much better. I spent one Mother's Day morning with my mom and dad, and Kathy and I, we went to Saugatuck together. I talked about it so much I wanted to show it to them and the mom, and you know, we had a great time. So make memories while you can. They're precious. And just know that nobody's perfect, including mom. But we never stop missing our moms, no matter how old we are.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yep. There we go.
Yeah.
Know who is not missing people?
Who?
Anna Wintour. So the Met Gala
Yes,
happened.
it was the other day.
The Met Gala happened this week. Did you see?
I saw a few outfits.
Girl!
Some yes, beautiful things.
So
crazy
good.
things.
Oh, I know. Andre 3000. Why do you have a piano strapped to your back?
Oh my God, I saw that.
Why do you have
How heavy was that? What was that made of?
It was
I'm sure
made
it was
of
light.
wood, but there was a big old piano on his back. Did you see the one and only Miss Diana Ross?
I don't know that I did.
Girl. Here's her picture right there.
I read about it.
The train on this dress.
Oh,
it was like
beautiful.
It's gigantic. And when there's shots of her going up, she's in this big white. Well, the theme was Superfine.
Oh.
It was like Superfine. What's the exact name? Superfine tailoring black style, and it was all about the celebration of the history and culture of black dandyism. I want to be a dandy so bad. I think I am a dandy.
What's
so
a
bad.
dandy?
You know, it's like where there's sort of like
dressed to the nines.
Yeah, there's that. I think they call it now like peacocking. You know, where it's like you're proud. Like men are able to like be expressive with like bold colors, big patterns. You know, looking sharp, like things that are tailored, things that look good on you. You know, it really is about. It's that whole speech from like when Devil Wears Prada. You know, about like you think you don't care about what you put on your back because you take yourself too seriously. It's like, but this is an expression of who you are, of your life, of your history, of your experience, and the people just showing up and doing it. And I thought it was great. Coleman Domingo was one of my favorites. In fact, I would totally wear his little outfit.
Look good in his outfit. I saw a picture of it.
Zendaya showing up in this beautiful white sort of thing. It is one of the most ridiculous time of the years, and we're always like, oh wait, is that happening again? Fabulous.
Yeah.
But there's been going around, I don't think we have time to play it, but Anna Wintour, who is the editor-in-chief of Vogue magazine, who throws the Met Gala every year, she was talking about how she does not regret permanently banning Trump from taking him off the guest list.
Anna Wintour.
She's like, no, here's the thing. This is a celebration of creativity, of breaking boundaries, of innovation, of moving things forward. And it's like, no.
All the things that he is not.
All the things that he is not.
Yes.
And
good for her. Good
I know.
for her. Quick change gears. I want to plug an upcoming gig, if I may.
Yeah.
2 weeks from today, Memorial Day weekend, May 25th, Nelson Street Revival has their first show of the year at the Belmont Sheffield Music Fest.
All right.
We'll be on at 6:30 on the Sheffield stage.
Fantastic.
So please come by and see our band.
Please do. They're fantastic if you haven't seen.
We'll have a lot of fun.
You need to go check them out.
And I'm jetting off to New York myself this week.
What?
I'm going to see my friend Natalie West.
Oh, yeah.
She is her first opening in New York in a play that she did here called Revolution. It was very successful. And Michael Shannon is one of the producers, is getting it going in New York. It's in a small theater. We're just going out for 2 days. I'll be back in time for the show.
Amazing.
But I have to support my friend, so I'll have some stories to tell.
Well, break all the legs, Natalie
Yes,
West.
Natalie. Break
there
them,
we are. And remember, Trump is never allowed at the Met Gala. And that brings us to the end of another show.
Yes,
I want to thank our guests today, Mark David Kaplan. Make sure you check out Titanic out at Marriott Theater. And, of course, Ed Oh, my brain. Ed Hall. Thank you. My brain just went away. Devin, thank you so much for running things back there.
Thank you, Devin.
Paul's back there.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. There you go. Ellen, so glad you got to recharge, reboost, and have like a wonderful experience of community.
Thanks for holding down the fort as always.
There we go. And I'm Scott Duff. And until next week, stay proud.